Imagine for a second, it's the 90s, the late 90s, in London, England, at University College. Two incoming freshmen named Chris Martin and Johnny Buckland meet for the first time. They start playing music together. Soon after, they add a bass player named Guy Berryman. The three of them are on the search for a drummer. They hear about this guy that's local, he's got a nice kit, it's at his house. So they head over there for a jam session, only to find that he's not there at the time. A guy by the name of Will Champion just happened to be his roommate. So Will figures he'd give it a go, sits down at his roommate's drum kit, and that's literally how he joined one of the biggest bands in the world, Coldplay. These guys play some shows, they make some EPs, one of their friends becomes their manager, they get discovered by an A&R scout, they start growing their profile as a band, all while still in school. Then, in 1999, they get to play Glastonbury Festival at the new band's tent. Huge moment. They put out some more music, they go through some stuff as a band, and then, on the other end of that, they put out their first album, called Parachutes, with a song called Yellow. They get all the awards. They do another album, Rush of Blood to the Head, with Clocks, the scientist. Now they're headlining Glastonbury Festival. Headlining. Rolling Stone magazine's Band of 2003. Grammy Awards. Another album, X and Y, with a song called Fix You. They were getting so big, they were starting to annoy critics. They became New York Times' official most insufferable band of the decade, their highest achievement yet. So that brings us to 2006. It's time to make another record. They kind of feel in their minds that they've completed the trilogy of the first three albums, and they're on the hunt for a new sound. So they enlist musical wizard Brian Eno as producer. They start taking new creative liberties with their sound as a band. So it turns out this renewed life and effort into the band paid off hugely. It netted them their first US charting single and what would become iTunes' most downloaded song of 2008, called Viva La Vida. That single and the record it was based off of shot them to even greater levels of success, record-breaking sales, more awards, giant tours, and now, 17 years later, here comes a random man on the internet to make a cover. So really quickly, before we get into it, I want to talk about three things I love about this song, two things I want to keep in my cover, and then two elements that I want to tweak, just for the sake of creativity. The first thing I love, this song just feels so thematically cohesive. I love the lyrics. They feel fresh, but also kind of timeless. All the instrumentation feels very appropriately epic. The whole thing just kind of builds in intensity the entire time. And there are pockets of these weird little dreamy sound design elements that help with the sense of place. Put some good headphones on and listen to all of the ear candy that's happening. The second thing, I really love when songs can just do the same chord progression almost the entire time. The best ones, you don't even realize that's what's happened until after you're done with the song. You'll hear all the time people say limitations breed creativity, and I think that's absolutely true. In this case, you're restricting one element of your musical expression, which is the harmony, keeping it locked in this loop, right? To really make that chorus pop, you have to rely on something other than the harmony. In this case, that really gets sold with this dynamic arrangement, with things popping in and out every 4 bars. They don't even play the bass guitar until the choruses. There's this slow but steady progression in Chris's voice that kind of feels like it goes from wistful all the way to a desperate yell. Honestly, they do a great job of keeping it fresh throughout, which is hard to do with the same loops over and over. The last thing that I love about this song is the bridge. It acts as this really cool counter melody to the main chorus vocal. The counter melody is the whoa in the bridge, and then when the chorus comes back in, they carry over that whoa over top of the lead vocal. What makes that work is the counter melody is filling in the space that the lead vocal isn't in. That main melody that Chris sings in the chorus is very kind of centered on downbeats, and then you hear the whoas come in and they're on the upbeats, and they're kind of syncopated and a lot more sparse. So they don't conflict with each other at all. It's just really satisfying to hear that stuff kind of come together and culminate, where you're introduced to part A, you're introduced to part B, and then you get A and B at the same time. It's one of my favorite things in music. So, two things I want to keep in my cover. This 4-bar loop idea with the strings and all that. I like the idea of like a repeating part that I want to do for some guitar stuff in the verses. The one little tweak I want to do is I want to make it an 8-bar phrase. So instead of their 4 bars, I just want to make it longer with a little bit more variation. The other thing I want to keep is I love like how simple the percussion is in this song. And then how absolutely impactful and huge the drums are when they do arrive. Like all the timpani and the swelling of the cymbals, and it works really well. I want to keep some of that simplicity in my drumming. I'm not a very like simple player when it comes to this stuff, but I think it would be really cool to have the verses kind of be really syncopated and busy, and then when the chorus hits, just like complete dead simple. The last thing I'll say, 2 things I want to change about my cover. I want to add a bunch of syncopation. I love adding syncopation. I love overplaying. I want to add little riffs and runs and fills. I just want to like pack the whole thing with a bunch of ear candy in a slightly different way than the original. And then that vocal, there's so much emotion in that vocal, and there's so much storytelling there. I want to shed some of the more subtle layers of that vocal, and I just want to kind of go more full chest with it, just to kind of match the energy of the instruments. I want to give it like a little bit more power and see how that does. Whether you love them or hate them, I have to say there's something about this band that sparks real creativity for me. Every time I cover one of their songs, I get all these great ideas and I want to chase these rabbit holes, and I've done a cover of Yellow and Fix You by now. And both of those are kind of like fan favorites, I feel like. So if you haven't heard those, they have YouTube videos, just performance videos, and then you can stream it on Spotify, Apple Music, and stuff like that. This one will be coming at a later time, and I trust that you'll follow me and you'll find it when it's out. So, without any further delay, here's my version of Coldplay's Viva La Vida. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoy.
I used to rule the world. Seas would rise when I gave the word. Now in the morning I sleep alone. Sweep the streets I used to own. I used to roll the dice, feel the fear in my enemy's eyes, listen as the crowd would sing. Now the old king is dead, long live the king. 1 minute I heard the king, next the walls were closed on me, and I discovered that my castle stood upon pillars of salt and pillars of sand. I hear Jerusalem bells are ringing, Roman cavalry choirs are singing. Be my mirror, my sword and shield, my missionaries in a foreign field. For some reason I can't explain, once you're gone there was never, never an honest word. That was when I ruled the world. It was a wicked and wild wind, blew down the doors to let me in, shattered windows in the sound of drums. People couldn't